What's up, Money Minds, and welcome back to another video edition of Market Briefs. Today is November 23rd, and here's some business and financial news you can finally use. Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market just took a huge step forward. Over the summer, I'm sure you heard all about El Salvador and how El Salvador made Bitcoin one of its key currencies. But now, the country has gone even further in its support and adoption of Bitcoin. And right now, this new move is looking like an experiment. But if successful, it could completely change the way that the rest of the world interacts and sees cryptocurrency forever. So if you love crypto or are a cryptocurrency investor, make sure to stick around till the very end of this video to learn everything about El Salvador's Bitcoin City. But before we break all of this down, my name is Nate from Minority Mindset News, and if you like this video, be sure to smash that thumbs up button below and hit that notification bell too. That way YouTube shows our videos to way more money minds around the world. We can keep making videos just like this one. Yes, you heard that right. El Salvador plans to build a Bitcoin city sometime in 2022. Now, Bitcoin City means that the city will be entirely funded and ran on the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. This comes after the country has already shown overwhelming support for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Over the summer, they made Bitcoin one of their main currencies. It is the official currency of El Salvador. And in addition, they also announced that they would begin mining Bitcoin with geothermal energy from volcanoes. This is a huge deal because it solves a lot of the problems that people have with Bitcoin. In order to create a Bitcoin, you have to do what's called mining. Mining is essentially running a program on a computer until a Bitcoin is created. And then once the Bitcoin is created, you can store it either on an exchange or on your own personal computer or offsite wallet. But this creates a bit of a problem, at least for the environment, because mining Bitcoin specifically uses a ton of energy. As of September of this year, all of the Bitcoin mining operations throughout the world use around 0.5% of all of the electricity in the world. That's a lot. That's equivalent to around 5.5 million people using the electricity, which is larger than full countries like Finland. And over the past few years, this problem has gotten even worse. Bitcoin mining and energy consumption has grown 10 times where it was 5 years ago. And this could have some pretty negative effects on our environment. This is because most of the world creates electricity through some non-renewable resources like coal and natural gas. Coal is a fossil fuel, which means it's finite, meaning we only have so much of it on our planet. Once it's gone, we can no longer use it. And right now, a lot more people throughout the world need the use of electricity and unfortunately coal to power their homes, their vehicles, and businesses. So a lot of that money is getting sucked away from Bitcoin mining, and to be honest, a lot of other cryptocurrencies use a ton of energy in order to mine coins. This is why so much of the world is switching to renewable energy sources like solar and geothermal energy. We also see a lot of wind energy coming up around the world too. Over the last 2 years, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have exploded, and so has the number of people mining those cryptocurrencies. This means that more and more people are going to start using more and more electricity in order to run the program on their computer to mine and create Bitcoins. Because of the negative environmental effects, this is why we saw thousands of businesses eventually pull out their support for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Over the last year or so, companies, one of the biggest ones being Tesla, promised consumers that they would be able to purchase vehicles and other products with Bitcoins. But once a lot of these companies found out how bad Bitcoin is for the environment, they eventually pulled out their support of the coin until Bitcoin is able to become more sustainable. And slowly, Bitcoin and its technology is evolving, and it's starting to become a little bit more environmentally friendly. But it's not there yet, so a lot of these companies are still very slow to adopt Bitcoin as a reasonable method of payment. And that is one of the biggest things that stands in the way of Bitcoin, is its environmental effects. But one day, we hope as investors that that problem is ultimately solved. And El Salvador is working on an experiment right now that would help solve that problem indefinitely. If all Bitcoin and cryptocurrency miners switch to renewable energy sources, then they would be able to create their Bitcoins and cryptocurrency without hurting the environment. At least not having a direct impact on the environment, that is. El Salvador has around 23 active volcanoes, and under very hot areas of the earth, like a volcano, you can find reservoirs of water. This is hot water that produces steam. This steam can be turned into energy that we can use to make electricity. And it's completely renewable because as long as the water flows back into that reservoir and then is turned back into steam, we can use it forever. And El Salvador is a very interesting country because, like I said, they have so many volcanoes. So they're pretty much equipped to test this on their own. The United States has around 169 active volcanoes. Now those are spread out amongst a massive area, and a good portion are also located in only 2 states. Alaska and Hawaii. That means mainland Americans won't really have access to this kind of geothermal energy. And for the rest of the country, geothermal energy is hard to come by. That's why a lot of our states are now adopting wind energy instead. But like I said, this is a big move for Bitcoin because it can help it become more globally adopted. And that is one of the biggest issues that Bitcoin faces right now, is its global adoption. Over the last 2 years, Bitcoin has exploded in price. At the beginning of 2020, 1 Bitcoin would run you around $7,000 US. Today, it would cost you around $60,000 to buy that same Bitcoin. And the rest of the crypto market has exploded too. We saw the second most valuable cryptocurrency, Ether, jump up in price more than 2 times as well. And we've seen the rise of meme coins like Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. This has all culminated into a market that is bursting at the seams. And now El Salvador wants to test and see how that would work in the real world. El Salvador's Bitcoin city will be just that. It will be residential, business, and even have some transportation resources for everyone to use. The only key differences in the Bitcoin city are that you only can use Bitcoin as a means of buying things, and there will be no taxes. That means everything that is bought and paid for within the city's borders will have to be done with Bitcoin and from the people. And it will be the first experiment in the world where we can see how Bitcoin would actually interact and if it will really work as a viable currency. Right now, using Bitcoin as a legitimate currency is really tough because the price of Bitcoin changes almost every single day. In addition, you can trade Bitcoin 24/7, 365 days out of the year. Unlike some other assets like stocks where the markets close for the weekend and after 4 o'clock. So with stocks, there's a little bit of downtime, but with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, there really isn't. In theory, you can use it anywhere around the world. 1 Bitcoin is going to have the same value anywhere you go in the world, and you don't need to exchange it for other currencies first. I mean, you would if you wanted paper money, but if the transaction was completely digital, you could technically use Bitcoin for it. So the price of Bitcoin is changing. So if you go to the store right now and you plan on using Bitcoin to pay for your transaction, by the time you're done shopping, you may have less or even way more Bitcoins than when you started. This is because the cryptocurrency market is very volatile. This is part of the reason why when El Salvador initially said that it was going to be accepting Bitcoin alongside its own currency, a lot of people were protesting. They were protesting because they thought this would make the country very financially unstable. Right now, Bitcoin is a promising asset class, but nobody in the world can 100%, and I mean 100% guarantee that it's going to be around for the long haul and that it's going to continue to go up in value like it is. There's a lot of reasons why Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies would continue to go up. A lot of people like Bitcoin because it is an anonymous payment form, and all of the transactions that are made are recorded on a blockchain. This means you can't counterfeit Bitcoin because every single time one is made, bought, and sold, it is recorded on the blockchain technology. And the blockchain is constantly being upgraded and improved. That means every Bitcoin that is in existence is completely unique. And people really like Bitcoin because it is a natural hedge against inflation. Let me put it to you this way. The United States government uses paper money, This paper money is backed by the United States government. It's essentially a debt note. The only reason it has value at all is because the United States guarantees that money. They say that you can use this within their borders and that it is an acceptable form of payment. Really, all it is a piece of paper. There's really no reason why our paper money has any value. Value must be created. It doesn't just exist on its own, and paper money doesn't have any intrinsic value. It used to because the United States was on what's known as the gold standard. That means for every dollar that's out there, there is a piece or ounce of gold that is sitting in the United States reserves. So before, you could actually go to the United States reserves with all of your money and get physical gold for it. Our money was literally a representation of gold, which is a representation of value. But in the 1970s, President Richard Nixon decided to take the United States off of the gold standard. This means that we could print as much money as we wanted and just guarantee it ourselves. And the only reason that it was going to have value is because the United States government says it does. And I'm not really going to get into it. You can make one argument for it being better this way or it being worse this way, but the bottom line is the United States is no longer on the gold standard. All we have is paper money. Now, let's look at this in contrast with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is not physical. There is nothing in the real world to really represent a Bitcoin. However, in order to create a Bitcoin, you have to mine it. This is very similar to gold. It takes time, money, and resources to create one Bitcoin. That in itself has inherent value. However, one Bitcoin still sits in a non-physical space. So just like our paper money, one of the reasons why it's so valuable is because people believe that its value represents what it is. And that's what makes cryptocurrency very different from other types of money. Cryptocurrency kind of acts like money and a commodity at the same time because you can trade it and sell it and then use it to buy something. That's different than any other kind of investment because I can't walk into the grocery store and say, here is my 4 shares of Tesla, I would like to buy my groceries. I would have to give the grocery store cash first, which means I have to sell my investment for US dollars. In addition, I can't walk into the grocery store with the deed to my house and try to buy my groceries. I would have to sell my house, get cash, and then buy my groceries. Cryptocurrency is different though, because if a grocery store accepted Bitcoin, then you could use it as a currency. You could use it as a digital currency in order to buy things online. However, you can also store and hold on to it like you would gold. That's why a lot of people call it the digital gold. And it's a natural hedge against inflation because the United States government can print as much money as they want, but there can only be 21 million Bitcoins in existence. That means as long as the value of Bitcoin continues to rise faster than our inflation rate, then Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. It will protect your money because it's growing faster than our regular dollars are losing value. And the cryptocurrency market has boomed over the last 2 years. One of the major reasons is because people are afraid that the United States dollar is losing value. Inflation for the month of October 2021 was around 6.2%. And that is the overall number for inflation. At the time, this was a 31-year high. So that means that our money and all of the prices of our services and goods around the country are going way up. So in order to get ahead, investors will put their money into things called hedges. These will protect their money from inflation because these hedges will continue to gain value in a recession or if the market crashes or if the US dollar crashes. Reason being is because they have universal value. Gold, 1 ounce of gold, 1 pound of gold is going to be the same all throughout the world. The same with Bitcoin. The world is going to find out a lot of different things about this El Salvador Bitcoin city. They're going to see if Bitcoin actually works as a viable payment option. And it's a step in the right direction for cryptocurrency because it shows that, well, people are interested in it enough to create a whole city around it. If the experiment works or brings up a lot of problems, whichever it is, this may entice a lot more companies or countries to get behind Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Somebody had to try it. And since El Salvador is creating this city, that means people are going to have to move there on their own. So we're going to have people voluntarily living in a city that only accepts Bitcoin. That's a great move because alternatively, if, say, the United States decided that Bitcoin was going to be an acceptable form of payment, that means this would affect millions upon millions of people right at once, some people that didn't ask for it. And that would be a big experiment because nothing like that has been done before. So this way, with the El Salvador Bitcoin City, we can see if this process actually works. Oh, and the city is working with a company called Blockstream to create a Bitcoin bond. This bond is going to be worth around $1 billion to start, and half of its money is going to be purely Bitcoin, and the other half is going to be put into mining Bitcoin and creating the infrastructure around Bitcoin. And of course, this city is going to be put by a volcano. So all of the Bitcoin mining and energy consumption is going to be handled with geothermal energy. That's all renewable. So long story short, El Salvador is investing a lot of time and money into Bitcoin. And ultimately, they may become the Bitcoin capital of the world. And other countries like the United States, where a large portion of Bitcoin miners currently live, might end up moving to El Salvador. Or the United States and some other countries might want to get themselves into the race. And in order to do this, they're going to have to start creating similar systems and infrastructure like El Salvador. All that's going to do in the long run is send up the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, because once it's globally adopted and you can use it like the US dollar, then it will continue to be valuable and it will always be around. If there is a high demand for it, then it has value. This is why the US dollar has value. And it could mean a lot, and I mean a lot, of regulation from countries. Cryptocurrency is basically an untapped market, and there's not a whole lot of regulation surrounding it. So countries are basically going to have to rethink how they view this asset. Is it going to be more like a commodity, more like property, or more like a currency? No one really knows. I'm not really sure how they're going to go about it yet, especially when it comes to the United States government, but I can tell you that taxes and our regulations are going to have to change at some point. But this is a big move from El Salvador, and it's helping to create a very bright future for cryptocurrency. But ultimately, it is just one big experiment. So like all things, we're going to have to keep a very close eye on this one, and we will definitely update you as things continue to change with it. But now I want to hear from you on this issue. What do you think about El Salvador and their Bitcoin city? Do you think it's a great idea, or do you think it could mean the collapse of cryptocurrencies around the world? In addition, will El Salvador become the capital of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for the world? Or is there still time for other countries to make a comeback and eventually take the throne? Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment below before you go. But that is it for today's Market Briefs video breakdown. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. Keep hustling, money minds, and I'll see you all in the next one.